In the previous episode, I sailed from Martinique to Dominica and then on to Guadeloupe via the Saints. Here I complete my passage through the Caribbean islands by briefly visiting Montserrat, Nevis, St. Kitts and St. Eustatius, before an overnight sail to the island of Culebra off the eastern end of Puerto Rico.
It's Sunday the 8th of June, 7 a.m. We're leaving Guadeloupe and we had a really nice rain shower this morning at about 4 a.m. just when the music was ending. Calling it music is putting it generously, but anyway, the noise was ending. So I disciplined myself and got up, plugged up the starboard side scuppers and filled up the water tanks nicely, and had a wash and a shower on the port side. It's very nice, very refreshing. So here we are, we're on a broad reach. The wind is not strong, the waves are not that bad, so it's an easy ride. And we're going to Montserrat. It's about 30 miles away at this point. It turned into an absolutely glorious day. Sunny, nice and windy. It's sort of 15 to 20. We've been doing 4 to 6 knots the whole way on a broad reach. And lo and behold, Montserrat. Unfortunately, as probably most of the time, capped with clouds.
As we got closer, the fact that this remains an active volcano became obvious, with steam venting from a large lava flow on the southwest corner of the island. And closer still, the scale of this flow became obvious, with the steam emitting from a large vent across it. Yet this is not the event that devastated the island 30 years ago in July 1995, followed by another in 1997. Further along, the scale of these two devastating eruptions that led to the permanent evacuation of the capital of Plymouth, now declared an exclusion zone, became obvious on the flanks of the volcano.
Yikes. Yes, these two barges getting loaded up with only figure it's gravel. Sand. There's a truck coming down right now. Very strange. And if I didn't know better, I'd say there's an eruption going on right now. But no, some smoke, some steam coming out of that caldera. No, I can smell it. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely darker than just the cloud.
This eroded hillside shows the long history of layers of lava, rock and gravel from endless volcanic eruptions that built this island, just like all the other Caribbean islands. I anchored for the night in an open bay near a restaurant and paddled my surf ski into shore for a pizza, but did not bother to check in. It is possible, but very expensive, to visit the exclusion zone, so I moved on.
About a third of the way into this passage, we're passing the leeward side of this very rocky, isolated island called Redondo. And suddenly, all around us. We're very close just now, but red-footed and brown boobies. I don't know why they're hanging around us, or at least they were. Now they're sitting down in the water there. Presumably they're hanging out on the island. Nice to see again. Here we have yet another island with lots and lots of cloud above it. No surprise, this is Nevis, again several thousand feet high. And yeah, it's been a nice ride as before, coming across to Montserrat. Wow, there's some big swells coming through here, and we get tossed around. But anyway, the good old jib has carried us across Doing 5 to 6 pretty much the whole way. Very nice.
St. Kitts and Nevis do use the sail clear system, but also required 2 additional forms that were impossible to complete without the assistance of the officials, who were less than welcoming. Not having grown up in the USA, I was not familiar with the backgrounds of the country's founding fathers, so was surprised to discover an informative museum dedicated to the history of Alexander Hamilton, and they also had a nearby set of exhibits chronicling his childhood on Nevis and eventual rise to prominence in the USA. And on the foreshore was this memorial to a disaster in 1970, when an overloaded ferry travelling from St. Kitts to Nevis capsized and sank, with the loss of 233 lives, as it entered the sometimes rough passage between the islands that I would cross the next day.
It's Wednesday and I'm crossing over from Nevis. There's the volcano, actually very little cloud on it for a change. The rest of the island. Through this passage to the bottom end of St. Kitts. St. Kitts goes all the way up there, way in the distance. There's a bunch of bays and coves here. I considered towing the dinghy, and I think I could have managed it, but wow, here's like a really big gust coming here. Luckily I have the jib half filled. So I don't know, I think the dinghy could have handled it, but out of caution I put it up on deck.
I anchored in Ballast Bay at the southern end of St. Kitts, outside a fancy but almost empty new marina that is oriented towards super yachts, and which later charged a fee of $50 to check out of the country.
There's some predatory fish right here, and there's the terns. There you can see the fish splash right next to the terns, and the terns are diving, presumably to catch the little fish. And the gulls are hanging out hoping to get something from the terns, and here comes a pelican. See if it takes part. Yeah, there we go. Bam! Did it get something? Yep. Oh, they're at it again. Got predatory fish underneath. And this time the gulls seem to be able to pick up little fish on the surface without a lot of terns around. There's a tern diving. Yeah, I've sort of missed the real action here. Oh no, there's still predatory fish. You can see them jumping. Yeah, I got an isolated spot here. This is called Ballast Bay, and inside here is a ridiculously huge super yacht marina. Totally inappropriate for small boats, so I'm anchored out. I'm on my own here, and man, the wind was howling through here last night.
I stayed the night and day here to avoid these strong gusts.
Anyway, that's why I'm here. I'm sitting out these strong winds, and tomorrow I'll leave. Go to St. Eustatius. Oh, I feel somewhat badly that I didn't do that much in St. Kitts. I really just hung out here while avoiding some strong winds. But it's kind of interesting to see the scale of the place. So way behind there is Nevis. See the long sloping edge of the island, and then they look like they overlap here, but that's the beginning of St. Kitts. I was hanging out over there, and you see a whole bunch of narrow sections here, low sections. And this is the main part of the island. There's the airport over there. And finally, the big volcano, and then a few more smaller ones. And way in the distance there, St. Eustatius, which is where I'm headed today, 24 miles away. Alright, we dawdled around for a little bit in the lee of the volcano here, but we've gotten out of the lee of it now, and we're got a nice breeze doing 5 to 6 knots, and we're headed
To St. Eustatius, yet again with just the jib out and the strong breeze showing in the courtesy flag.
What are we on? Yeah, we're on a close reach. We're doing great. We've got all the hatches closed and everything's buttoned up in case we get some waves coming on board, but I don't think we will. I think it's really impressive what sea change can do. Here we are in about 20 knots of wind, been reaching, and we're doing 6 to 7 knots consistently. It's really cool. Just the 100% jib, nothing else at it.
Watching this footage again as I edit these videos, I marvel anew at what a great boat Sea Change was for me. I was determined to do more on St. Eustatius, so after anchoring in Gallows Bay, an easy check-in procedure, and this pleasant lunch of conch fritters, I set out to see the town, and the next day hiked the volcano.
Alright, the locals call this space Statia, and here's our anchorage. I'm not sure about the blue boat, it might be a local one, but there's Sea Change. We're pretty much on our own. I love their sense of humor around here. This is the oldest paved road. It goes all the way down the cliffs here. It's called the Slave Path. On the other side here's a fort. Going to go see that later.
Once again, the history of the colonization of this island by Europeans was complicated, with it passing through both French and English control before ending up under Dutch control. Like several other islands, the town of Oranjestad has parts along the waterfront and the rest up on the hill below the main volcano, in this case called Quill. Unlike almost all the other Caribbean islands I visited, the volcano was not shrouded in clouds and rain, and with an extensive hiking trail network, it invited a hike the next morning.
Oh, it's Saturday morning, 6:30. It's taken me half an hour to get up here. This is the trailhead to Quill National Park. Quill being the name of this volcano here. So we're going to give it a go. I'm not sure I'll get to the top, but there's a contour path goes around about halfway up. See if I can at least get there. Yeah, it's mostly scrubby, lower stuff, but there's some larger trees around. And yeah, it's pretty steep. Steps, lots of places. Here's a nice little level patch. And this is just the beginning. I don't think I'm up for getting up to the top. My knees are not good enough anymore. It's a shame, not even 70.
Arriving at the junction with the contour path and its array of signs, I took a rest break to follow the last few overs of the World Test Cricket Championship at Lord's in England between Australia and South Africa on the BBC website. And happily, the Proteas won.
All right, I made it to the decision point. Do I go up to the crater rim, or do I walk all the way around the mountain, or do I just go down to the viewpoint? Let's see if the viewpoint is anywhere nearby. Service path. This is not a mountain trail. All right. Oh, there's a bit of a view here through the trees down to the town. Oranjestad. Oops, don't take a fall. Lots of gravelly little round stones here too. Oh, and here's one of the, there's quite a few here, of the hermit crabs. They're all over the place. Instead of the red crabs like on Christmas Island, we have these hermit crabs. And sometimes they roll themselves up and head on down the hill when somebody bothers them, like me. Here's another one. Anyway, yeah, there's the view. Can I see sea change? Almost, but not quite. Well, I made it to the crater, at least the edge of the crater. I'm not going to walk down into it. It's a hell of a long walk. But yeah, this is a very extinct volcano. And man, the birds, hear them all around me. And they fly through the gap here. Down there where the path comes up, they fly right through that gap periodically.
Having slid my way down the steep no-entry path, I reached a deserted road with this magnificent flamboyant tree.
We have a Dutch military boat coming in today, Pelican. Looks like they're going to dock on the outside of the main pier. I think it's mostly just got a crane on the front. Funny they don't fly a flag. Oh, it's noon on Monday the 16th of June. I'm leaving St. Eustatius, otherwise known as Statia. And there's the mountain, there's Quill. Okay, you almost see the narrow low spot, the crater rim there that I hiked up to. Yeah, it's weird. There's all these tankers, all empty. And then these weird boats over here, I don't know what they are. And apparently they're pumping oil up to this huge depot here. It's very big on the other side. And nobody could explain to me what it's all about. Anyway, we're headed that way. We're going to go past Saba, which is just on the horizon there, and past the US Virgin Islands and all the way to Puerto Rico overnight, I hope. This is Saba Island. I kind of wish that I had the time and energy to go there, but actually it's very, very difficult. There are some buoys on this side here by the bottom of these houses, but hey man, it would be rolly as all get out there. And then there's some buoys around the backside, the west side, but then you have to take your dinghy around to check in. And some friends of mine did that and had a horrific time, actually had to get rescued. So I'm going to skip this one sadly and keep going. I've been passing these double white buoys. They've got a little bit of rope between them. They must be for crab boxes. And here's the explanation. We're going across the Saba bank. It's only 100 and something feet deep here. There's Saba over there. So these fishermen have these crab traps way the heck out here.
After an easy overnight sail, I anchored in the Bahia de Sardinas, next to the ferry terminal on the southwest side of Culebra, where after a simple check-in to the USA using the Roam app and a video call, I dinghied up a channel through mangroves to a restaurant with a surprise.
I'm here at a nice open-air restaurant in Culebra, and in the channel right next to me are these monster tarpon. Holy smokes. Plus all sorts of other little fish. It's just, I mean, I've heard about tarpon and I know something about them. They have this mouth that opens up at the top for grabbing things near the surface, but when you hear about them, fishermen fishing for them in Florida, but goodness me, these are like 4 feet long and they're just swimming around here. Quite something. Wow, look at that.
In the next episode, I leave the Caribbean for a 4-day sail to the Turks and Caicos Islands.